Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamerspro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. I've started to push recently, over the last few weeks, for Kawhi Leonard to be included in the MVP conversation. Now, if any of you who've been following this channel for some time will know that Kawhi Leonard is currently my favorite player in the NBA. He reminds me of Kobe. He reminds me of Jordan Kobe, who's my favorite player of all time. He worked with Kobe. Kawhi Leonard's game went to a totally different stratosphere the year him and Kobe Bryant got together after Greg Popovich in the All-Star game, I believe back in 2013. Was it 13 or 14, one of those years where he basically asked Kobe to get in the air Kawhi. They started working out together, and the very next season, Kawhi Leonard turned into a totally different player. And there's actual video out there of DeMarcus Cousins saying that I heard he was working with Kobe because this dude is damn good. Ever since then, Kawhi Leonard has been an offensive machine, but you also want to credit Kawhi Leonard for always being a hard worker and being one of the greatest defenders of all time in his position, right? Two-time Defensive Player of the Year. So I'm a big Kawhi Leonard fan, but I'm also fair, right? When the Clippers were effing up, Kawhi wasn't playing and all of that, I would call them out. But now that the Clippers are playing well, Kawhi Leonard is playing well, I'm giving him his just due. And I've noticed that there are people that feel like they need to hold things against Kawhi because maybe he missed games in the past. So therefore, whatever he does in the future should not count, which is total BS, right? If the guy misses games, if certain things happen, you want to criticize him, fantastic. But if the guy's doing well and he's earning it, then you need to go out there and give him his credit. I rarely produce videos where I'm like, oh, supporting Kawhi. I always thought he was one of the best players in the NBA, although I still think Nikola Jokic is the best player we got going in the league. But, I think Kawhi Leonard is a top 5 guy, top 3 guy when he's on his game. But now that I'm seeing that he's playing very well, I think Kawhi Leonard should be one of the top candidates for MVP consideration, given the fact that the Clippers have won, 26 out of their last 31 games. Are you freaking kidding me? And you've been looking at the numbers that Kawhi Leonard put up. So recently, yesterday, I came across a clip from Undisputed, which had Richard Sherman, Keyshawn Johnson, and we're talking about it. And they were talking about Kawhi Leonard's MVP chances. Keyshawn Johnson, who's a Laker fan, was pro Kawhi. Richard Sherman, who's from LA, he was hating on Kawhi hard. And then, he just started going into this crazy argument and started making these obtuse points about why Kawhi Leonard should be in the conversation and the numbers and all of that. So that's what we want to get into today. But before we even get into that, this video is brought to you by our brand new sponsor, Prize Picks. Prize Picks is really simple. Instead of just selecting a team, you just select 2 or more players, pick more or less their projected stats, and then you place your entry. For example, this week, I'm selecting 2 entries. Stephen Curry for more than 25 points, and then I got Anthony Davis for more than 2 blocks, and Damian Lillard for more than 4 3-pointers made. PrizePicks is also the only daily sports platform with an injury insurance policy. So for example, if you have a player who gets injured in the first half and doesn't return to the second half, that player gets automatically rebooted. What I also love about PrizePicks is that it offers weekly promotions like Taco Tuesdays. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit matchup up to $100. That's go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, use code CLNS for a first deposit match of up to $100. And once again, once you support this sponsor, you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So what we want to do is play exactly this exchange. This exchange. The comments that Richard Sherman had to say on Undisputed yesterday. And we're going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to what Richard Sherman had to say here.
Skip. I think that's tough. I don't think it's high at all. I think it's relatively low because he doesn't have the numbers. And you know how I am, Skip.
Here we go again. Yep.
Regardless of the spot.
Yeah.
You got Jokic averaging 26, 12, and 9, I think. You got Embiid, he's hurt right now, but averaging like 30. You got Luka Doncic averaging 35, 10 and 9, or 9 and 10.
Yes.
Like, Skip, you're not going to 24, 4, and 6 is not going to get it done for the MVP. Giannis is averaging 31 and 11. you're not going to get MVP over those guys with 24, 4, and 6, regardless of what your team's doing. If they're number one in the West, I mean, it would be cool. It'd be a great story. Hey, they got a great team. They're doing great things. But the MVP of the league is probably one of these other guys that's carrying their team statistically, and that's usually who it goes to. So I would think it goes to Giannis, Jokic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I mean, it could go to Luka, but, I don't think they're playing well enough right now for him to get it. It almost seems like y'all are describing Giannis Antetokounmpo because their record is better in Milwaukee. So you're talking about what they could be with the Clippers, but they're not. They're third in the West. So Giannis is averaging 31-11, always in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. And so that's what your MVP looks like. That's 24, 4, and 6 is not impressive, even with the 45% 3-point. He doesn't shoot that many. So cool. It's a high stat. Fourth. I got you. 29th in field goal percentage, not top 50 in assists, and so you're 20th in scoring. It doesn't sound like MVP numbers to me. No. It sounds like when you're saying, hey, he's leading his team, that's what Giannis is doing. They go as he goes. That's what they do in Milwaukee. They go as Giannis goes. If Giannis is off and he doesn't play well, they're not going to win a championship in Milwaukee.
Okay.
So I hear what you're saying, but it just doesn't add up.
Point.
So you heard what Richard Sherman had to say. I got a lot that I want to get into here. Here. Richard Sherman said a lot, and I want to address some of the things that he was saying. Somebody left a comment when I spoke about Kawhi Leonard's numbers on our community section, and the person says, "Oh, now you care about efficiency, right?" Now, why did they say that? They said that because the argument some LeBron fans have said is, well, LeBron is a more efficient player because he has a higher overall field goal shooting percentage than Kobe. And I'm like, those numbers are a bit deceptive because LeBron's field goal percentage is predominantly made up of dunks and layups. And they're like, no, but he still shoots a higher field goal percentage. So let me tell you the reason why I made such a big deal out of Kawhi's efficiency. Let's get into the numbers here for a quick second, and I'm going to address another point that Richard Sherman brought up. Kawhi Leonard this season is scoring 24.4 points per game on 53.3% shooting from the field, career high, 45.7% from the three, career high, 89.2% from the free throw line, while getting you 6.3 rebounds, 3.7 assists, 1.5 turnovers, and 1.7 steals, and a career high in blocks 0.9, and will make the all-first defensive team. Kawhi Leonard is playing all first defensive team. Forget about what all these other people, Kawhi don't play defense. Forget about what all of them are saying. I watch a lot of the Clippers games. He is a menace on defense, and he changes games with his defense. We have that. Now, I want to get into the efficiency thing. You see, when I talk about efficiency with Kawhi, I'm talking about real efficiency. And I want to get into the advanced data, and I'm getting this from Basketball Reference. You can go hunt this information down. I want to get into Kawhi's efficiency from various distance on the floor. I want to talk about his shooting. Kawhi Leonard this season is shooting 80.6% from 0 to 3 feet, basically at the rim. 52% from 3 to 10 feet. From 10 to 16 feet, Kawhi Leonard is shooting 52.5% from the 3 to 10 foot area. From the 10 to 16 foot area on the floor, Kawhi Leonard is shooting 51.3%. And he's shooting 35%. No, from 16 to 3-point line, he's shooting 36%. And from the 3-point line, he is shooting 45.7%. This is real efficiency. Kawhi is efficient everywhere on the floor. Everywhere. And they actually double this dude on most nights. And they force James Harden or Russell Westbrook and those other guys to beat him. So he's scoring off of his limited opportunities. That's the first thing. He mentioned something else about numbers. Kawhi Leonard doesn't have the numbers to be considered the MVP. Kawhi Leonard doesn't have the numbers to be considered MVP. And I want to get into someone who won the MVP 2 times. A 2-time regular season MVP winner. And that player would be who? Steve Nash. Steve Nash won MVP in the season of 2004 and 2005, and in the season of 2005 and 2006. Let's go look at Steve Nash's numbers those years. In 2004 and 2005, Steve Nash was averaging 15 points per game, 15.5 points per game, on 50% shooting from the field, 43% shooting from the three-point line, 88.7% shooting from the free throw line, while getting you 3 rebounds a game and 11.5 assists and 1 steals per game and 0.1 blocks. The following season, he averaged 18.8 points per game on 51% shooting, 43.9% shooting from the three-point line, 92% from the free throw line. He had a 50-40-90 season, while getting you 4.2 rebounds, 10.5 assists, and 1 steal a game. So if Steve Nash qualified to win those MVPs, how Kawhi Leonard not qualified and he got better numbers? And Steve Nash got 2. I'm saying Kawhi Leonard should be in the MVP conversation. I'm not even saying he should win. Because if the Clippers get the number 1 seed and he keeps playing well and he's averaging over 25 points per game, he should be the MVP. He should be the MVP if they keep winning like this. They've had the best record since December. They're the best team in the NBA, number 1 offense in the NBA. Steve Nash just won it, so what are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? To me, I think Richard got caught hating hard on Kawhi Leonard, and I don't think he went through the information all the way through, because Kawhi Leonard should definitely be in the conversation. Let me get into this content here. So y'all know we got a lot of Kawhi Leonard haters out here. The new one is, we shouldn't pay much attention to the Clippers right now. The reason we shouldn't talk about the Clippers is because they're going to lose in the first round. I don't know who they're going to be losing to. Or they're going to lose in the second round. So since they're going to lose in the future, no need to talk about them. But aren't the vast majority of the teams in the NBA that get into the playoffs, of the 16 teams, aren't the vast majority of them going to lose? As a matter of fact, isn't there going to be one winner? So why don't we just wait to the end of the season to start talking about teams? Utterly stupid, right? But nevertheless, people are still saying this because they just can't stop themselves from hating. The fact of the matter is Kawhi Leonard is proving a lot of his doubters wrong. He's having an MVP season. He's having an all-first defensive caliber season. And he's really putting a lot of his haters on notice, and he's playing all the games. He's played 45 out of the available 49 games this season Kawhi Leonard has played. So we can't use he's not playing games argument anymore. We can't. Playing back-to-backs, all of that. And they're winning. The Clippers right now just had the best 30-game stretch in the history of that organization. And right now, the Clippers in the last 31 games are 26-5. You give me the team that's playing better than that, you won't be able to find one. But nevertheless, people are hating. Now, something surprised me yesterday. As you guys know, Keyshawn Johnson is an LA native, but more importantly, he's a staunch Lakers supporter. But what I noticed about Keyshawn is that he was being very, very fair to Kawhi Leonard yesterday on Undisputed when they were talking about Kawhi Leonard's MVP chances. And as someone that's a huge Lakers supporter, I was surprised to see that level of candor and, frankly, honesty from Keyshawn Johnson, because there was a segment during the show when him and his co-host, Richard Sherman, got into this very heated argument over Kawhi Leonard. And Richard Sherman was like, why does Kawhi even need to be in this conversation? And Keyshawn was like, because we put him in the conversation. Like, what are you talking about right now? And it got pretty heated. And Keyshawn wasn't letting Richard just get away with his stuff that he probably would have got away with Skip with. And I thought that was great television. But more importantly, I like the fact that he was being fair. So that's what we want to focus in on today. But before we even get into that, this video is brought to you by our brand new sponsor, Prize Picks. Prize Picks is really simple. Instead of just selecting a team, you just select 2 or more players, pick more or less their projected stats, and then you place your entry. For example, this week, I'm selecting 2 entries. Stephen Curry for more than 25 points, and then I got Anthony Davis for more than 2 blocks, and Damian Lillard for more than 4 3-pointers made. PrizePicks is also the only daily sports platform with an injury insurance policy. So for example, if you have a player who gets injured in the first half and doesn't return to the second half, that player gets automatically rebooted. What I also love about PrizePicks is that it offers weekly promotions like Taco Tuesdays each Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts, select player projections, up to 25% to provide even more value. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit matchup up to $100. That's go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, use code CLNS for a first deposit match of up to $100. And once again, once you support this sponsor, you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So what we want to do is want to play this exchange for you in its entirety. Then we're going to come back and give you guys our thoughts. Take a listen to what these two gentlemen had to say to each other yesterday.
Skip. I think that's tough. I don't think it's high at all. I think it's relatively low because he doesn't have the numbers. And you know how I am, Skip.
Here we go again. Yep.
Regardless of the spot.
Yeah.
You got Jokic averaging 26, 12, and 9, I think. You got Embiid, he's hurt right now, but averaging like 30. You got Luka Doncic averaging 35, 10 and 9, or 9 and 10.
Yes.
Like, Skip, you're not going to 24, 4, and 6 is not going to get it done for the MVP. Giannis is averaging 31 and 11. You're not going to get MVP over those guys with 24, 4, and 6, regardless of what your team's doing. If they're number one in the West, I mean, it would be cool. It'd be a great story. Hey, they got a great team. They're doing great things. But the MVP of the league is probably one of these other guys that's carrying their team statistically, and that's usually who it goes to. So I would think it goes to Giannis, Jokic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I mean, it could go to Luka, but, I don't think they're playing well enough right now for him to get it.
Yeah.
This is the beginning of the MVP situation for Kawhi. The beginning. Today on this show. This is going to start the momentum to carry him into the MVP race to a whole nother level. And what I mean by that, though, Skip, is if they win the West, that means that they probably are going to be a top 4 in the league record-wise. They're going to be in the top 4 if you go Boston, Milwaukee, Minnesota, then the Clippers. I think that'll be that top 4. He plays on both ends of the floor, though. So when you start talking about outside of Giannis, the other guys that have the potential opportunity, Embiid's hurt. So he's going to lose.
He's out.
He's going to lose on that.
Yes.
Kawhi Leonard has been known to do what? Rest, not play, load manage. Well, he's played 43 out of the 47 games this year. So that's the whole season to me. He's played the entire season thus far. Now when you start talking about the 24, 6, and 4, he's shooting 45% from 3. There's only that says that he ranks 4th to 5th in the league.
He's 4th,
Okay, at a 45% clip. It's pretty good.
I think it's pretty great.
Sensational.
Yeah.
And the team is winning.
Yeah.
And so you get that eyeballs and you get that momentum going in this situation. So I think the odds for him to win it is pretty good. I don't think I understand what Rich is saying. Typically, you look at it, you go, guys,
absolutely,
he's averaging 30. Oh, my God.
You just do. Yeah.
But he's lights out, efficient across the board.
Yeah.
And when you're efficient across the board and you lights out, well, you can't give it to nobody in Boston. I mean,
you can give it to Giannis.
You could give it to Giannis. But like
31, 11, and 6.
But what we've always seen is people it's one of those deals, Skip, tired of giving things to the same people in the NBA.
Yeah.
Tired of giving it to the same guys all the time.
Yeah.
Now Kawhi is, remember what I said, the Clippers are on to something, top 4 in the league record-wise.
Yeah.
And they've won 25 out of the last 30.
Yeah.
I understand the statistical side of the game.
Yeah.
Richard, you like that. Hey, there's no question about it. But when you start to think about, as I said to you, the train is just now being loaded, and it will eventually go down the track by the time the MVP race is finalized. It's just starting today. This is the first conversation that I can think of about Kawhi Leonard potentially having an outcome on the MVP race. Now, when you think about Giannis, he has amazing numbers. There's no question about it. Well, the coach got fired, okay? So that's going to ding him a little bit, plus the burnout going to ding him a little bit more.
Yep.
And Kawhi is continuing leading his team where people didn't never think it was going to work. No. They always thought it was going to fall apart. He thought he wasn't going to be able to play 43 to 47 games. He would have probably played 20 games thus far this year. All of that is pluses for him.
Yep.
You have to factor that into the decision process as the voters start to cast their votes later on in the year. Yeah. Now, obviously,
again. Go ahead, sir.
No, go right ahead, sir.
I just don't. I mean, the only reason he's in the MVP conversation is because we're putting him in there and unnecessarily because his numbers don't
it's
even
not
put him in the conversation with them.
Mm-hmm. How can it be unnecessarily?
Because there's nothing that says that about his numbers. If you look at the MVPs, the previous MVPs, the numbers are there. You look at Joel Embiid's MVP season. He had 31 and 11. You look at Jokic's 26, 12. It's what I'm saying is, when you talked about Lamar Jackson's MVP candidacy, his team was dominant. They were the number one seed. They had the best record in the National Football League. It was far and away. They were obvious. So it's still, his numbers weren't there, but his team was the number one team. This isn't the number one team in the NBA. And so they're not even the number one team on their side of the conference. And
they're
so to put him in a conversation with guys averaging, he's 20th in points, though. That's what I'm saying. So you're talking about not the best team in the NBA, and he's not scoring the most. So if you said he was the best team in the NBA and he had these numbers, I would be like, okay, I can kind of see where you're coming from. Not really, but we're talking about guys that are putting up massive numbers and helping their team win games to the degree that their records are better than the LA Clippers. And we're talking about.
The whole point is, should he be included? Not that he won. This is the same conversation we tried to have you have with us about Lamar. We didn't say at the beginning.
But why would he be included?
Because his efficiency on both ends of the floor, things that he's doing, the team is winning. 25 of the last 30, they're hot as fish grease. That's why. This is why. This is the same conversation in a different sport with a different talent. So why aren't we having this
conversation about SGA? Because team is number one in the West, having a much better season than Kawhi Leonard.
Because we selected Kawhi to have the conversation, Richard. That's why we're having it.
So what I'm saying.
So you heard the exchange there. First of all, I got to applaud Keyshawn Johnson. And shout out to him because Keyshawn, I just saw, has a show that he's doing with Matt Barnes and his son. I forgot the name of the show. I saw it. It just popped up on my YouTube page. And I was looking at this guy, the kid talking, like, this guy looks a lot like Keyshawn Johnson. Like, he looks a lot like him. And then I found out, okay, it was his son and all that. So that was pretty dope. Shout out to him. They doing it, he's doing his thing. But anyway, I was very, very surprised to see him take this position publicly. I was very, very surprised because usually what people do in the media is twerk it up, lie, and just go up there and say things that they know is not true. But in this case, for Keyshawn Johnson to be a staunch Lakers supporter, but to still be objective enough to say, listen, this guy's playing well. For what does it have to do with me being a Lakers supporter and this guy playing well? He's playing very, very well, and he deserves to be in the MVP conversation. And he was pushing back on Richard. And Richard, I don't know what his thing was. Because his only thing was, well, the numbers. And I'm like, well, Steve Nash won back-to-back MVPs. Go pull up his numbers. And Kawhi Leonard has put up way better numbers than Steve Nash, I'm sorry to say. And his team is winning and most likely will win more than Steve Nash's team. Right? Most likely win more. So to me, I like the fact that he pushed back on him, but this is the hate that Kawhi Leonard is going to have to get, But what you're noticing now is that the media is being forced to talk about it because you can't ignore excellence. After a while, you can't ignore it. Otherwise, people stop taking you seriously because NBA fans are going to be like, okay, but you guys keep talking about teams that don't deserve to be talked about. This team is the hottest team in the NBA since December 1st. They're 25, 26, and 5 out of their last 31 games, and you're not talking about them? So you're telling me the best player on that team deserves no consideration to be in the MVP conversation when most of us wrote off that team after they got James Harden? Most of us don't even consider Russell Westbrook. But now what the haters are now saying is, oh, now they have this amazing big four. Really? Russell Westbrook is a big four now. Really? The James Harden that all of us were poo-pooing on, now all of a sudden, James Harden is this great player. Really? And I got to say this because it's something I'm concerned about. I'm thinking about. What if this was the Los Angeles Lakers in 2022 when they had acquired Russell Westbrook? What if they were the ones hot as a fish grease and LeBron was in Kawhi Leonard's position? Don't you think they would have been considering LeBron James for MVP conversation? Of course they would. Of course they would. But when it comes to Kawhi, oh no, let's not talk about them, man, because they're going to be first round exits. Even though most teams in the NBA, when they get to the playoffs, those teams are all going to lose. But yeah, but I'm a hater, so I'll be really thinking I'll just be hating. So I got to say whatever come to my mind. I'm glad that he pushed back, and I loved it.